Hi, I am Vibhor Gupta, an AWS and Microsoft Azure certified cloud professional. I am a passionate cloud solutions architect and a services advisor. Today in this video, we are going to discuss about design principle and best practices of AWS Virtual Private Cloud with a architecture as well as AWS demo. Let's get started. A VPC is a logically isolated virtual network within the AWS account. It restricts connectivity to the external world. That means resources created within the VPC can't communicate to and from the internet or from any other network. If needed, virtual network can be connected to the web with the help of Internet Gateway. AWS has default VPCs in all regions, but it is a good practice to create custom VPCs for our configuration. Custom VPCs could be easily used to connect to an on-premises and cloud networks like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. By default, a private IP network or CIDR block is allocated to each VPC so that they can communicate internally within the virtual network. If we want to allocate DNS host names or public IP addresses to the resources within the VPC, then we have to manually enable the DNS host names option inside the VPC. We will see this on AWS console later in this video. Now the next point that we have to discuss is how do we connect it to the internet. An internet gateway enables the resources in the subnet to connect to the internet. We have to associate our VPC to the internet gateway. We can create two types of subnet inside a VPC. A public subnet that is connected to the internet via the internet gateway and a private subnet which is not connected to the internet. To allow outbound connections to the internet and prevent unsolicited inbound connections from the internet, a network address translation device, that is a NAT device, is used. It helps connect the instances in the private subnet to the internet but blocks all incoming connections from the internet to the private subnet. A NAT device is placed in public subnet, has a static IP address, and is also connected through the internet gateway. Lastly, we need to configure a route table. A route table contains a set of rules that helps in directing the traffic within the VPC to the gateway or network interface. And then the traffic from the private subnet is routed to the NAT gateway in the public subnet and then out of the AWS network via the internet gateway. Now let's talk about private IP network and CIDR. CIDR is classless inter-domain routing. There are few IP networks ranges available to configure custom VPCs from 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255, from 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.255, from 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255. AWS allows CIDR ranges to be between /28, that is 16 IPs, to a maximum of /16, that is 65,536 IPs. A simple thumb rule to remember is that CIDR is inversely proportional to the size of the network. The smaller the prefix, the bigger is the network and vice versa. Let's discuss this with the help of an example. Suppose we have a CIDR block of 10.0.0.0/24. It means that the first three octets, that is 10.0.0, represents the network and the last octet 0 to 255 represents the host. It has a total of 256 IP addresses or possible hosts. When you are connecting different virtual networks such as an on-premises network to AWS VPC or two separate VPCs together, then make sure that they have different private IP address ranges or networks. If different networks have the same IP ranges or their IPs overlap, then the resources will think that it's a part of the same local network and hence the communication won't be possible. Let's discuss subnetwork or subnet. A VPC is further divided into subnet. It represents a part of the network such as an availability zone. One subnet cannot be configured in multiple availability zones, whereas one availability zone can have multiple subnets. A IPv4 CIDR that is allocated to the subnet is the subset of the VPC IPv4 CIDR, and it should not overlap with any other subnet. Internally, resources in one subnet can communicate with resources in the other subnet inside the same VPC. Restrictions are implemented at the VPC level and not at the subnet level. In general scenarios, application has two tier with a public facing subnet for front-end or web servers and a private subnet for back-end systems such as database or application server with no internet access. We could also customize our VPC configuration into three-tier architecture as a public web subnet, private application subnet, and a private database subnet. While configuring the subnet and allocating the IPv4 CIDR, we need to remember that 5 IPs are reserved by AWS. Let's take an example of IP network 172.16.1.0/24. Then the first IP, that is 172.16.1.0, is the network address. The second IP, 172.16.1.1, is the IP of the VPC router. The third IP, that is 172.16.1.2, is reserved for DNS. The fourth IP, 172.16.1.3, is also reserved by AWS for future use. And the last IP, that is 172.16.1.255, is the broadcast IP and can't be allocated to any resource. So basically, out of the 256 IP addresses, we can allocate 251 IPs to our hosts from 172.16.1.4 to 172.16.1.254. Based on the CIDR range we are using, we get 5 less IPs for usage. For example, if we are using a /16 network, then we will get 65,531 IPs in place of 65,536 IP addresses. For /20 network, we will get 4,091 IP addresses. For /24, we get 251 IP addresses. /26 is 59 IPs. /27 is 27 IP. And /20 gives us only 11 IP addresses. Let's discuss VPC design principles. Planning VPC architecture in advance is an important aspect, as once configured, it is very difficult to change it later. If needed, we can add additional IP networks to the VPC. Few considerations to make while choosing or creating a VPC networks are the size of the VPC network and how many resources do we need to create inside the network. Do we need to connect this VPC to any other network like on-premises, other AWS VPC, or virtual network with other cloud providers? What are the future scalability aspects? How is the architecture divided and how many tiers do we have? Do we need to make our app highly available and configure resources in multiple availability zones? Will there be a need to expand our network to other AWS regions or not? We need to answer or get answers for all above questions before implementing or creating any resources. Once we have decided on the VPC architecture, we can start a similar process for the subnets. How many subnets do we need to create based on the number of availability zones, as one subnet is created in one availability zone, and the tier-based single tier, 2-tier, or 3-tier architecture that we are following. Now let's come to the most important part of this video, the architecture and the IP networks of our VPC and associated subnets. For this example, we will consider configuring our resources in 2 availability zones and configure 2-tier architecture with resources configured in public front-end and private back-end subnet. It is always a good practice to keep some reserved resources for future expansion, so we will keep an additional subnet for the availability zone and another tier. In total, we are going to have 9 subnets, 3 subnets in each availability zone, one for public-facing front-end application, the private subnet for back-end application and database, and the third one is reserved for the future use. The IP network for each subnet looks like this. For availability zone 1, public subnet, we are using the IPv4 CIDR range as 172.16.16.0/24. For private subnet in availability zone 1, we are using 172.16.17.0. For our reserved tier in availability zone 1, we are using 172.16.18.0. For availability zone 2 in public subnet, we have 172.16.19.0. For private subnet, we have .20.0, and whereas the reserved tier, we have .21.0. In the same way, for availability zone 3 or the availability zone for future use, the IP ranges that we are using is .22.0, .23.0, and .24.0. Please pause the video and understand this chart carefully. This will help you to design and architect your VPC for your application. Let's now log into AWS console and configure these resources. Now we have logged in into the console, we have to search for VPC service. Either we can click on all services and search for VPC, or we can click on services in the menu bar and scroll down to search for VPC in network and content delivery, or we can also type it here. Before proceeding further, if you like the content of this video, please like the video, subscribe to my channel and enable all notifications, as it will notify you whenever I am creating new and useful content on cloud. Now, if you see over here, we are in Northern Virginia region, and in this region, we have one VPC and 6 subnets. If you remember, we discussed that AWS has configured a default VPC in all the regions. So this is our default VPC, which has 6 availability zones. But as a best practice, we will configure our own VPC and subnets. So click on VPC, click on Create VPC, and then we have to give the name to the VPC. So we are going to give the name as XXX. So this represents the name of our app, then VPC, then -1. Then we have to give the IP CIDR. So in this example, we are using 172.16.16.0/20. So this is our network IP address. Now let's scroll down. So in this example, we are not using IPv6 and the tenancy that we are using is default. We are not going to configure any dedicated instances, so I am not choosing dedicated. Click on Create VPC. So now our VPC is created. This is a private network, and now if we want to assign DNS host names, so we have to enable that. Click on Actions, click on Edit DNS host names, click on Enable and Save Changes. If you remember, our VPC is an isolated virtual network which is for private use. If we want to connect it to the internet, then we have to configure a internet gateway and connect it to our VPC. So we will click on Internet Gateways, click on Create an Internet Gateway. The name of my internet gateway is XXX-IG-1, and then click on Create Internet Gateway. So my internet gateway is created, but if you see the status over here, it is detached. Now we have to attach this internet gateway to our VPC. Click on Actions and then click on Attach to VPC. Search for the VPC. So we can see this is our VPC, which is XXX-VPC-1. Click on Attach Internet Gateway. And now the status has changed to attached. Let us go back to Internet Gateways. And our Internet Gateway is attached. Now, as per our architecture, we have to create subnets. If you remember, we have to create 9 subnets in total. But out of 9 subnets, 5 subnets are for future use. So basically, one availability zone and the third tier is for the future use. So practically, we are just going to create 4 subnets, 2 in availability zone 1 as a public subnet and a private subnet, and 2 in availability zone 2 as a public and private subnet. So let's click on subnets. Click on Create Subnet. The very first thing that we have to do is choose our VPC ID. So this is it. And now I am going to name my subnet. So this is my first subnet, XXX, that is the name of my app, availability zone 1 and public 1. The preference is US East 1A, so I want to create it in US East 1. Now scroll down, we have to give the IP CIDR range 172.16.16.0/24. This is our first IP network. And now we are going to add another subnet for our private tier. Preference is US East 1A. IP is 172.16.17.0/24. And now we are not going to create the reserved tier. We are going to create public subnet in our availability zone 2. Preference is availability zone 2, that is US East 1B. And the IP that we are going to choose is 172.16.19.0/24. So we are basically not choosing 172.16.18.0. The reason is that that is reserved for future use as per our architecture. Now add the last subnet, that is, and the availability zone is 1B and the IP is 172.16.20.0/24. Scroll down and click on Create Subnet. All our 4 subnets are created, 2 in availability zone 1 as public 1 and private 1, and 2 in availability zone 2 as public 1 and private 1. Okay, I just missed the name over here. I will just edit it. Now to automatically assign public IP addresses to our instances in public subnet, we need to enable auto assign IP settings. So click on your public subnet in availability zone 1, click on actions, click on modify auto assign IP settings and enable it. Repeat the process for availability zone 2 public subnet. The resources in the public subnet can communicate to the internet now, whereas the resources in the private subnet cannot communicate to the internet. For this, we have to configure NAT gateway in the public subnet. So scroll down to NAT gateway and then click on create NAT gateway. We are going to create 2 NAT gateways, one in availability zone 1 and the second one in availability zone 2. So XXX hyphen NAT gateway hyphen 1. The subnet is public 1 in availability zone 1. And if we already have an elastic IP address, then we can assign it over here. Otherwise, we can ask AWS to assign an IP address to us. Scroll down and click on Create NAT Gateway. So this is our first NAT gateway. And now we are going to create second NAT gateway. Now the second NAT gateway that we are going to create is in availability zone 2. And the subnet association is public 1 in availability zone 2. Scroll down, click on allocate elastic IP and then click on create NAT gateway. Click on NAT gateways and both our NAT gateways are created. It takes some time to configure NAT gateways. We can also see the allocated elastic IPs. Click on elastic IP and we can see 2 IPs have been allocated. In the meantime, let's go to routing table and create routing tables. By default, one routing table is configured per VPC. But we are going to create custom routing table for all our subnets. So click on create route table and then the name of the route table is XXX-AZ1-public1 and the VPC ID is XXX VPC1. Click on create route table. In the same way, I am going to create all 3 route tables. So now if you see, we have created 4 route tables, 2 in AZ1, one a private route table and a public route table, and 2 in AZ2. Now what we have to do is we have to associate them to the subnet. Let's start with our public route tables. Click on subnet association. Click on edit subnet association. And we are going to assign public subnet in AZ1. Click on save association. Go back to it. And now if we go to routes, then we can see that it has a route to the local network. Any traffic that is going to the internet is not defined. So we have to click on edit routes and then define a traffic that is going to 0.0.0.0/0. That means any IP address should go out to our internet gateway. So in this way, we are defining that all the resources present in this subnet should go to internet gateway or out of our AWS network. Click on save changes. Go back to route tables. Now let's do the same configuration for public 1 in availability zone 2. Now, both our public route tables are connected to their associated subnets. And now we have to define routes for our private subnet. So we need to send traffic to the NAT gateway, and via the NAT gateway, the traffic will go to the internet router. So let's select our AZ1 and then click on subnet association. Click on edit subnet association. Click on AZ1 private 1 and then save association. Go to route table and then click on edit route. Any traffic that is going to the internet or any IP address should go to the NAT gateway. And the NAT gateway is first NAT gateway, which is defined in availability zone 1. We have created 2 NAT gateways for high availability. If one AZ goes down, then the traffic can be handled by second availability zone. Let's go back to route table. Now the private route table in availability zone 2. So in this video, we have configured our VPC, subnet, internet gateway, route table, as well as the NAT gateway. Now we can go ahead and create our resources like EC2 instances, database in public as well as in private subnets. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching my video.